The Bronx Bombers, the Gas House Gang, the Big Red Machine. All names quickly mentioned whenever the topic turns to baseball dynasties. But few teams accomplished more than the group of rebels and renegades that played a unique brand of ball in the Bay Area. The Swingin A's of the 70s won 3 straight world championships and 5 straight division titles, and they rarely received the respect they deserve.
You want to be recognized as one of the elite teams, and I think we, amongst ourselves, we knew how good we were, but we didn't get no love, no respect.
I don't think that that club, those group of guys ever got the credit they should have got.
To win not only 3 straight divisions, but to win 3 straight best-of-5 championship series, then win 3 straight World Series, played some pretty good teams along the way, and yet they accomplished all of that. And they did all of this amidst the cloud of Charlie Finley.
You got Tennis, and you got Rudy, and you got Campaneris, and I guess thank God for Reggie, even though we lost, Reggie was hurt. But, you know, there's a team with Dick Williams, a Hall of Fame manager, I believe. You had Catfish Hunter, a Hall of Famer. Reggie was on that team, a Hall of Famer.
If people forget them, it's just because they don't really know baseball. They had very, very special teams, and again, very, very good managing.
Business-like club that played the game to win, and we had all the ingredients that was necessary. Left-hand power, right-hand power with the speed at the top of the order. We had tremendous starting pitching, but middle relief, and we had a Hall of Fame shutdown guy in the bullpen with Raleigh Fingers. So we were a special club.
I think the A's are one of only 2 teams to three-peat. I think the Yankees did it once or twice, and there's been no other team to three-peat.
You start watching some of the sports shows, and they talk about the great teams of the past 100 years, 50 years, or whatever. They rarely ever talk about the Oakland A's.
But the thing was, there were 9 guys together on the field once they crossed those white lines. They played hard. Some say they partied hard. We were perceived as cocky. I think Reggie lent a little bit to that. A few other players did, but cockiness is also confidence.
We'd pack houses on the road. Everybody wanted to come out and see the crazies from Oakland, man. And we were beating the heck out of everybody. And, you know, we were fighting in the clubhouse. We were fighting on the field. And everything just kind of changed that year. The whole team's personality changed. We just became the rebels.
The story of the Oakland Athletics begins in 1968, when owner Charlie Finley moved the struggling team west. Finley's franchise had succeeded neither on the field nor at the gate in Kansas City, but had managed to assemble some of the game's most promising young talent. And as those budding superstars began to blossom, the A's started turning heads from coast to coast.
Well, I was born in a small town, downstate New York, Bronxville, New York, and I grew up as a Yankee fan, but it was 1972. It was really the first year that I started collecting baseball cards. And I remember getting some Oakland A's cards with some of my early packs. And I was very intrigued by the multicolored uniforms that they had, the green and the gold. And it was so different from every other team in baseball.
So the A's were a terrible team throughout their entire history in Kansas City. They moved to Oakland in '68, and things started to happen. Catfish Hunter pitches a perfect game in '68, very early in their first season out there. '69, Reggie Jackson, then in his second full Major League season, 47 home runs. And then 1971, Vida Blue, in his first full season, 24-8, 1.82 earned run average, wins the MVP and the Cy Young Award. So it was clear the A's had the pieces. They were playing in the American League West, which was generally regarded as the weakest of the 4 divisions at the time. So it was only a matter of time until they rose to the top of that division.
Getting to the playoffs in 1971, that was a great feeling. But we also had a letdown in 1971 because I believe we played Baltimore, and I believe they swept us in that series, and that was a big letdown. But the thing about it, it was uplifted for us because we got that far.
The '71 team, we thought we were pretty good, but we got snookered by the Baltimore Orioles, who had 4 20-game winners. Count them, 4. And, you know, we just kind of went back and regrouped, and we started to believe in ourselves and our abilities. And, you know, Mr. Finley had the knack of filling in holes with veteran players, and great defensive players here and there, and he did that.
The A's had fallen just short in the 1971 playoffs, but the growing club put that experience to good use the following year. This time, they survived a contentious ALCS against Billy Martin's Detroit Tigers. And suddenly, Oakland's upstart A's had a date with the vaunted Big Red Machine.
When you talk about 1970s dynasties, one of the first teams, if not the first team that comes to mind, is the Big Red Machine of Cincinnati. A team that was so powerful, had so much speed, and could really club you offensively. I mean, they could beat up on teams. And they, I think, were as feared, as intimidating a team as you would have found in that era.
The reason the Big Red Machine was such a good team is, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you we had the best team ever, but some people will say that. I'm not going to argue with them if they want to compliment us, but I believe there's no question in my mind that the Big Red Machine was the most exciting team ever. We had speed, we had defense, we had daring base runners, we had golden glovers, we had power, we had personality.
Sparky Anderson was their manager, and the team was sitting around him. Even though you had Johnny Bench and Pete Rose and Tony Perez and Dave Concepcion and Cesar Geronimo, Joe Morgan and the likes, our pitching matched up against their lineup. Their pitching did not match up against our lineup. And of course, we had lost Reggie in the playoffs. He had an accident sliding in the home plate into Bill Freehand in '72. So we lost our big gun. So we outpitched them and outplayed them and beat them with small ball.
The Cincinnati Reds, the first year, was terrific offensive ball club. They just didn't have much pitching. For me to get a couple hits in the World Series, they must not have any pitching.
Sometimes I got the feeling that they felt like we were a bunch of misfits and a bunch of players that we didn't have a lot of superstars in the team. But we were a team that really gelled as the year went on, and we had no fear.
Cincinnati Reds at the time didn't know anything about us. They had us beaten before we even got into town. And papers, you read the papers and you hear these things, and it motivates people, especially us, because we was the Swingin A's, and we didn't think anybody could beat us at that time, so we had to prove it, and we did.
And I remember going out to Yankee Stadium to see the A's in the '72 season. But by the time the World Series came around, for a lot of people, this was the first time you were seeing them play a game on national television. There wasn't that much national television at the time beyond the playoffs and the World Series.
And I can remember going into Cincinnati, and they were clean-shaven. They looked like a college team, and they called us a bunch of renegades.
I think we were on edge, so we wanted to really beat the Reds just because they were too square and we were free-spirited. The establishment versus the anti-establishment.
We were supposed to lose that series. Everybody was talking about the Big Red Machine. I think they had more pressure on them than we did because, like I say, we were supposed to lose. We lost Reggie in the playoffs, but we still had the great starting pitching. And though that series could have gone any which direction.
Most of us were 23, 24 years old in that first World Series, and it was a little scary actually going in and playing the Big Red Machine, who we'd already seen playing World Series, since a lot of these guys were older than we were.
We were just happy to be in the World Series in '72. We didn't even think about winning. We didn't have Reggie. We had a guy named, what's that catcher we have? Tenachi, they called him.
One out, and the scoreless Oakland fifth. Hits this one a long way to left field down the line. Overlooking up. It is gone. Home run, Dennis. 1-0 Oakland.
Gino just got hot at the right time. You hit 2 home runs in your first two at-bats, and all of a sudden, who in the heck is Gene Tennis? All of a sudden, he's driving in runs all over the place, putting us in the leads, hitting 3-run. He hit a 3-run home run here. Ended up hitting 4 for the series, and he filled in one great big pair of shoes when Reggie got hurt, and he certainly deserved the MVP that year because he put us in a situation to win all 4 ball games.
And I had pitched against Cincinnati for 7 years in the National League, and so I knew what we were up against. Really a great offensive team. But I'll never forget, I pitched game 1, so I was the opening day pitcher in the World Series. And, there's 80 million people watching, and everybody's going crazy. And I remember Gino came up, I guess it was in the second inning, and he hits one out, and we're up 1-0. And this is for a team that was the heavy underdog against the Big Red Machine. And when Gino hit that home run, I said, you know what, maybe we can play with these guys.
And everything I hit in the series seemed like it fell in or went over the fence, one or the other. I mean, I just couldn't, I was just on fire, and I don't even know how to explain that kind of situation.
It was, I think, one of the most underrated World Series because most every game was very competitive, low scoring, well pitched, the kinds of games that could swing on one play here or there. And the A's, despite the fact that they were the underdog, they did not have Reggie, they end up winning this tough 7-game series.
The 1972 World Series introduced the A's to the world as an opportunistic club that would do whatever it took to win. They delivered a pair of the Fall Classic's most memorable plays. Joe Rudy's brilliant catch to preserve victory in Game 2, and Raleigh Finger's intentional strikeout of Johnny Bench in Game 3.
I made the last out of that series. I hit a line drive off of Reggie, or off of Raleigh Fingers to left center, and I think Rudy or whoever played center field run it down.
Steps in. Fly ball deep left field. Rudy goes back. Hit a warning crack is there. The World Series is over. And on one pitch, Rose is out. And the underdog Oakland Athletics win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
You know, winning that first World Championship is extremely difficult. And the further we went, the more confidence we got as a team.
The Big Red Machine was, I think, again, that East Coast bias. I think they wrote us off as not having a chance, but again, our pitching neutralized the Big Red Machine's lineup. And even though we went 7 games, had we had to do it all over again, they'd probably beat us 3 out of 5 times, but we had that one chance to beat them, and we did.
He kept his finger on absolutely everything. And as a younger player, we were all scared to death of him because, you know, he had our destiny, our career totally in his hand. And, you know, the way I handled it was if he came down in the clubhouse and he came in one door, I went out the other. Literally, I tried to stay out of his way totally.
There's the time when me and Raleigh, right before the World Series, were shagging balls in right field, and him and I had a contest to see if we could nail Finley in the dugout. And we both threw 300-foot fastballs right at Finley to see if we could knock him out in the dugout.
And I said, Holtzy, he was over in the dugout in the third base side. There's Charlie over there. I said, put a couple balls in your pocket. On the count of 3, we wound up and fired them at him from right field, and then we laid down and started doing the setup, so he didn't know where the ball came. Balls were rattling around in that dugout, so he never knew where they came from. It's not very often you get a chance to throw balls at your own, you know, and get away with it.
Charles Oscar Finley, respected by many, reviled by more. He certainly couldn't be ignored as he single-handedly built the A's into a powerhouse. Finley had developed a public reputation as an imaginative promoter. His colorful uniforms, white shoes, and mascots were copied throughout baseball. And ahead of his time, he championed the designated hitter, night postseason games, and interleague play. But to the men whose paychecks he reluctantly signed, Finley was more miser than maverick.
Baseball's had so many unique characters in its history, you don't know where to start. Charlie Finley is certainly one of the more unique owners in the history of the game, and I don't say that lightly.
Charlie was notorious for hiring a new broadcaster almost every year. And sure enough, after the '73 season, even though he was a veteran and he'd been around a long time and people loved his work, Monty Moore loved him, his partner, Jim Woods got fired. And I remember Charlie Finley saying, when they asked, why would you fire Jim Woods? He was so good. He said, well, he wasn't exciting enough when nothing was happening.
This guy was running an entire major league team with maybe 1 or 2 or 3 other employees in the front office.
He was a personality like no one else in baseball. He was loud, he was abrasive, he had very radical ideas about the way the game should be played and the way the game should be promoted. He was very much a maverick. He was despised by the commissioner, Bowie Kuhn. He was not well liked by the other owners.
You know, Mr. Finley was kind of a wild guy. He wanted to try to change the game with colors of baseball and their uniform colors. And he was just very flamboyant.
We were out there milking cows and hitting golf balls and hot pants days and, you know, mustache days. There was all kinds of crazy things. Charlie was always coming up with some kind of a promotion to bring people in.
Charlie thrived on that, you know, if you will. I mean, he wanted to be talked about, have his name in the paper, and I don't think he really cared as long as you won. I think Charlie wanted to win as much as anybody.
At one point, he wanted Vita to change his name to True Blue. Charlie thought that would be a great way to capitalize financially, be like a promotion, and Vita was very insulted by that.
And I remember holding out. I remember issues that I had with Mr. Finley, and he told me that pigs get fat and hogs go to market and all this stuff. And I'm just saying, listen, I just want to be paid and compensated for my services.
My wife says, while I'm on the phone, he says, well, if you're going to sign for that, I want a horse. She was a horse person. Yeah. And I says, Finley, did you hear that? And he says, yeah. If you sign for this, I'll give her a horse. So a few days later, a little horse comes in the mail, a wooden horse, and he stuck for his guns. He didn't give her a real horse. It was a little wooden horse.
In my particular case, the following year, I think I won 19 games plus a couple in the postseason. So I won, you know, 21, 20, whatever it was. And Charlie sent me a 20% cut. And I remember calling him. I said, why'd you cut me? He said, well, how many games you win last year? I said, well, 21 in the regular and 3 plus 24. He says, well, you only won 21 this year. He said, that's a 10% reduction in. I said, well, based on that, when Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs and then he only hit 52, you think Babe Ruth got a 20%? He said, I'd have cut him.
If we want to get a raise, we won the World Series. And I actually negotiated with Charlie Finley, and I asked for, I was making $50,000 at the time, and I was asking for 10 more and 60, and he said, your raise will be a World Series check. You'll get a World Series check, and that'll be your raise. I said, can you guarantee it? He said, pretty much so. I said, you're going to win. So that was kind of the negotiations.
It was a hassle dealing with this guy in negotiating time. It wasn't fun. December was not a fun month for me and the rest of the guys, because you had to go one-on-one with this guy. He was the owner and general manager.
Well, certainly made us hungry and determined, obviously, to get paid. I mean, for a 3-time world champion, we were at the bottom or lower end of the salary scale.
You know, Mr. Finley dangled the carrot in front of us all the time. We were always trying to prove ourselves to him, prove our worth to him, that we were worthy of the money we were making.
Yeah, we didn't like sitting around airports flying commercial and everybody else is flying charters and little things like that. But when the game started, it was still a game and it's still the major league. So it was okay. You know, I mean, I look back and I don't have any regrets, and I don't have any hard feelings against Mr. Finley. He did a lot for the game, even though a lot of people didn't respect the fact that he was a rebel, but he still did a lot for the game.
Finley's renegade reputation aside, the on-field results were undeniable. A team built almost exclusively by Charlie O himself.
He didn't waste draft picks. He hit a home run with Rick Monday. He had hit a home run with Reggie Jackson and Bando. And he assembled a team that by the early 70s was the equal of any in baseball.
When Charlie either signed a player or acquired a player, it was Charlie doing the most of it himself, because he had a very small front office. I don't even know if he had a scouting system, but it seemed like whenever the A's needed a player or needed somebody, Charlie found a way to get them.
And Finley, you know, it was a whirlwind. We come into the ballpark, we never knew who was going to be there. You know, we had all three Alou brothers coming through there, Don Mincher. I mean, we had so many former great players that he picked up that really played a big part for us.
Because Charlie was want to do something to win. He tried to bring the best player in the field to win. So it's what he did, and we helped, you know, to win some World Series.
I've often said the Oakland A's had to be the only professional sports team in which the owner itself, the owner of the team itself, the guy who signs the checks, could walk into the clubhouse and 5 guys would yell for him to get out.
We were crazy. We did outlandish things, and sometimes we acted like kids, like we were kids.
You know, I looked at the A's and I looked at the Raiders, and I'm going, these guys don't maybe play by the rule book as far as decorum.
Those were the Swingin A's. You know, This was a team, it was a swashbuckling group of guys, and not just a talented group of guys, but they were kind of a wild bunch.
We had long hair, mustaches, we wore our uniforms high and tight, and we had a little swagger is what they call it now.
One thing about our club, you needed to be at the ballpark early, because if you weren't there early, you could have missed them.
The nickname, the Swingin A's, didn't refer only to production at the plate. On the field, they hit the ball hard. Off the field, they sometimes hit each other.
And I think if there ever was that feeling that somebody wasn't pulling his weight, there would always be somebody there maybe needling that guy or telling that guy, hey, you need to do better. You need to give a better effort. And it was a reflection of their great desire to win ball games. So sometimes the tempers were short, and sometimes they exploded.
Anytime we got into a fight in the clubhouse, I mean, it was headline news. You know, A's are fighting again, fighting A's. And, you know, it just got to that point where, you know, sports writers were looking, well, what's going to happen today? You know, who's going to get into fisticuffs?
In one of the World Series, we had a starting pitcher and a relief pitcher get in a brawl. I do mean brawl. In the locker room, this reliever fell in the tussle, cut his head, got 4 or 5 stitches in his head, and came in and saved Game 1 of the 1974 World Series. How crazy is that?
I think the funniest thing ever was going into Dodger Stadium. By then, you know, there was pretty well documented about our fights and stuff. And Blue Moon and Raleigh had been going at each other, as we all did all the time.
Me and John Odom got into it, before the game. He said something to me, I said something to him, and the next thing you know, we're banging around in lockers. So, you know, I got some stitches in the back of my head. I fell up against the locker, and he sprained his ankle, but you know, that was the end of it. You know, it was usually pretty quick. You know, you'd be fighting with a guy that afternoon, and you'd be out having dinner with him that night. That's just the way it was.
Me, Dick Green, Darrell Knowles, and Raleigh were the local bridge game. We played bridge. I know that's not played that much today, but bridge was our game. And we're playing in the Detroit clubhouse, and I see Billy North and Reggie Jackson, and they're over there and they're discussing who knows what.
Pretty much Reggie was involved in most of them. It was Reggie and the rest of us, or us and Reggie.
And then I hear some loud talking over there by Reggie and Billy. And the next thing I know is they're going. And I mean, this was no pushing and shoving, like this was like right now. And Billy's on top of Reggie and he's punching him. And I remember Green, he's one of the players. He's looking over there and he sees this happening. Let him go. Just let him go. I got a good hand. I'm not giving up this hand. You know, I've been waiting for this hand for who knows how long, and we're still playing cards.
And Ray Fosse came over and said, aren't you going to help me break this up? I says, hell no, let them fight, man. Let them get them out of their system.
Finally, Fosse, who was watching the game, watching our card game, he sees this going on, and he says, I got to break it up a little bit. And he went over there, and he tried to break it up.
You know, and so Ray jumps in there, and he ends up blowing a vertebrae in his neck and had to have an operation just breaking up that fight that day.
We just would not interrupt our card game just because Reggie and Billy are going to beat the hell out of each other.
There was always fighting, but infighting is similar to how a family may have feuds amongst themselves. I can hit my brother, but you can't hit him. And I'll defend that till I die.
It didn't always end in a fight, but it would be just ruthless ridicule of each other. I mean, there was nothing sacred. Whether it was you, your family, anything goes.
I guess maybe me, myself, probably was an instigator. We had a bunch of instigators. We would go to the ballpark instigating, so we could have a little disagreement. Yeah. That make us go out on the field and fight the other team.
Yeah, we fought amongst ourselves, which is to be expected. You have 25 guys, 25 different personalities. Anything can happen on a day-to-day basis. I guarantee it happened on other teams. We were just good copy at the time.
We had some guys with some short fuses, and you know, we'd get into arguments. But you know, you're going to have that on every ball club. But the big thing about our team is we're doing that in the clubhouse. We're fighting on the field and in the clubhouse, and we're going out and beating the heck out of everybody.
Spring training in '73. You know, Charlotte Finley grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, Bear Bryant walked on water back there from the football days at Alabama, and he was a good friend of Finley's. And so Charlie brought Bear Bryant in to the clubhouse at the beginning of spring training to talk to us about how hard it is to repeat. You know, everybody's gunning for you. You know, they're always going to save their best pitchers, their best play. You know, they're going to rest people to play against you, and all those things which were true.
I've often said I think it was easier to win in 73 and 4 than it was in 72. Even though you always hear today it's hard to repeat, I never felt that way. I always felt it was easier to repeat and to win the third time than it was the first time. You had to get over that hump the first time.
The thing that stood out more than anything, watching the players, Dick Green in particular, guys around the batting cage, just kind of nonchalantly playing and practicing. And I said to Green, I said, what's going on here? I said, it just seemed like going through the motions. And he said, we know we're going to win the division, we're going to play somebody from the Eastern Division, and then we're going to play somebody in the World Series, we're going to be world champions again. And I said, wow, you're saying that now? And he said, that's our belief. And that's the way it was the entire season.
In 1973, the world champion A's entered their title defense with supreme confidence and promptly stumbled out of the gate. Suffering from a World Series hangover, they lost 10 of their first 16 games, and by mid-June, they were still stuck at 500.
1973 was a rough year for Charlie Finley and the A's. Charlie had a heart attack that year, and in talking to Sal Bando and some of the other players, they noticed a change in Charlie Finley from the point before the heart attack and after he recovered from the heart attack. Sal told me that Charlie was more bitter, mean-spirited, more difficult to deal with.
I think we went into 73 and we were almost burnt out because we'd gone to all the different things that happen to a player when you get in the World Series and win. You're traveling, you're going to different things, different events, and you never have that time off in the wintertime to really get your mind set to start the season. And we really struggled in early 73.
In the end, the cream rose to the top in the form of 3 20-game winners, Hunter, Holtzman, and Blue. With Jackson, Bando, and Tennis providing the power, the A's won 94 games and survived another tough 5-game championship series, this time against Baltimore. The 1973 series then cast the A's in the unfamiliar role of favorites, matched against an opponent that had defied all odds to reach the Fall Classic.
73, the Mets were in last place in late August in the National League East. It was a season where nobody in that division had a good record. The Mets got very hot in September.
Well, the 73 Mets really led with their pitching. They had 3 outstanding starters. They had Tom Seaver, Hall of Fame pitcher. They had Jerry Kuzman, top-notch left-hander. And they also had a young left-hand pitcher named John Matlack. In the bullpen, they had one of the better relief aces in the game, and that was Tug McGraw. Kind of a clownish character, kept everybody loose.
Of course, in New York, people thought that the Mets had pulled one miracle in '69, and this was going to be even a bigger miracle because they'd come from last place in late August and were now in position to get to the World Series.
Unlike the previous year, the A's are now the favorites. The A's are the defending world champions. They have a better lineup. They have a deeper pitching staff.
The series was shaping up to be a compelling coast-to-coast matchup. But of course, these A's couldn't do anything without drama. Baseball quickly took a back seat to another clash between Finley and his players.
In Game 2 of the World Series against the Mets, well, as it turned out, we go to extra innings, and Mike Andrews is in the game. And Mike ends up making 2 errors in extra innings, and we ended up losing the game. Well, after the game, we're all in the arena waiting to take the bus to the airport to fly back to New York for the off-day workout the next day. And we're waiting and waiting, said, what's going on? And they said, Mike Andrews has been released.
Essentially what Finley did was he made Mike Andrews sign a document saying that he was injured, that he had a bad shoulder. Andrews was not hurt. He was perfectly fine in terms of his health. And he just felt pressured by Charlie to sign this document, to falsify the document. And he essentially fired Andrews.
Charlie tried to do something that he shouldn't have done, and our team banded it together. And we basically told Charlie we weren't going to play the series unless Mike Andrews was reinstated.
And I'll never forget, we were in the clubhouse at Shea Stadium getting ready, and we told NBC Sports Either he gets reinstated or we're boycotting the World Series.
I think he wore like number 17, and you know, we kind of eulogized the poor guy. We had white tape, a 1 and a 7 on our sleeve.
You can forfeit, do whatever you want. Well, we didn't care. You know, there are a lot of strong personalities on that team. They didn't care.
And then Bowie Kuhn stepped in and said, Charlie, you can't do this. You know, you can't try and substitute a guy and, you know, fake an injury.
That let people right there know we was a big family, and we got there with him, and we was going to win with him. Other than that, we weren't going to play.
We weren't going to play if Andrews wasn't on the team. We told him, we're not playing, period. And that's when Dick told us that he wasn't coming back in '74. He said, this is it, I can't take this anymore. And he quit. He told us at the ballpark in New York that he wasn't going to be managing next year in '74. And so we basically got Mike reinstated on the team.
Dick Williams sent him up to pinch hit in Game 3 at Shea Stadium. He received a standing ovation from the crowd in New York.
But Mike Andrews was not a particularly great hitter, but yet it seemed like Dick Williams was saying to Charlie Finley, I'm going to pinch hit him. And Mike ended up pinch hitting, made an out, and I can still remember kind of getting a standing ovation because the world knew what was happening with the Mike Andrews story in Oakland.
The New York crowd felt that he was a poor guy who was doing his best and was trying to be put down by the man.
It was funny, anytime anybody did anything bad in New York, like make an error or struck out, some big fan held up a sign, Charlie, fire him too.
Undeterred by the Andrews affair and a 3-2 series deficit, the A's aces put on their game faces. Hunter, Holtzman, and Fingers held the Mets to 3 runs over the final 18 innings of the series. With Reggie playing the role of Mr. October for the first time, the A's captured their second straight world title in front of a hometown crowd.
But we had battled so hard that whole year to get there. And so this time we went into the World Series, we had Reggie. All our pitching was healthy. Reggie had a great World Series.
I wanted to play in the World Series. I'd missed the year before, and I set out really as a goal to try to help the ball club get back to the World Series.
The next pitch, deep to right field. It is going. It is gone. Goodbye. 2-run home run by Reggie Jackson.
We were solid, and at that time, probably the best team in baseball.
You know, you look at that team. You know, their pitching and their defense and the home run abilities on that team were tremendous, you know. They were a good ball club, you know, and when Bando came up and tried to bunt to get on, I said, you know, these guys will do anything to beat you.
Of those 3 World Championships, I think the Mets might have played us the toughest because their pitching matched up with our pitching with Tom Seaver, you know, Jerry Kuzman. And they had a guy in their bullpen named Tug McGraw who matched our Raleigh Fingers. So that series, in my opinion, I thought was the best of the 3.
We didn't go in there thinking we were going to win because we won the year before. Because we realized the struggle that we had to get there. And again, it was another one of the 7. We played all 7 games, and it was a battle. We actually came back to Oakland down 3-2 and ended up winning the last 2 games here in Oakland, thank goodness.
Goes back, throws a little looper. Campaneris goes back, says, I've got it, there it is. The Oakland A's have won their 2nd consecutive World Series championship.
Charlie was upset with his players even after winning the World Series. He felt they were disloyal to them. He felt that they went against him in the Mike Andrews thing. He was also upset that Dick Williams was leaving the team. And Charlie was so bitter that when he ordered the World Series rings for the '73 team, he ended up ordering these very cheaply made, not very nice looking rings. They were smaller. They were not nearly as good as the 1972 championship rings. And this was like the final insult for a lot of the players. You know, this is the reward we get for winning a 2nd straight World Series. He gives us these cheap rings.
I think that's when the tide turned with the ball club and the players and Charlie, because that year, you know, he didn't put diamonds in a World Series ring, and he was upset with all the players, and you know, we really didn't care because we didn't particularly care for him in the first place. So.
They had pitching, and they had an ace in the bullpen. I mean, that's a good start right there. And they had guys that could run, you know, Campaneris and those guys. Rudy was a hell of a ball player. Sal Bando was a hell of a ball player. So they had good players at every position. So, you know, I'm surprised they didn't get the respect that they deserved, but they were a really good team with good pitching and a good bullpen and a guy that run the show that knew what he was doing in baseball. Dick Williams knew what he was doing. I mean, he was a guy who's on top of his team, and that's what a manager needs to do. He needs to know what makes his players tick to get the most out of them.
Wary of Finley's meddling, Dick Williams had done the unthinkable, stepping away from a two-time World Series winner, but not before establishing a reputation as one of the game's most brilliant field generals.
In 11 and a half or 12 years I played with the A's, I had 10 or 11 managers. Dick Williams was the best baseball manager I've ever played for. I didn't really care for him personally, but he was the best baseball manager I ever played for.
He wasn't bashful about who you were, if you were a star or a scrub. He didn't care. He'd go right up into your face. I kind of liked that. There's plenty of times he balled me out.
If you play for him and you give 100%, you don't have any problem. He'd be the kind of manager he loved to win.
We're playing in Chicago, guy on third base with like one out, and I come up and I pop out. I mean, this is like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and Dick Williams is standing there with his, you know, leg up on the dugout steps as I come back, and I'm mad, of course, and as I walk by him without even turning his head, he says, 300 hitter my ass, and he put a few expletives, chosen 4-letter words in there as I walked by him, but that was the way he did it.
And if you made a mistake, he let you know. I remember one time I forgot to back up third base, and I came in after the end of the inning, and Dick was at the top step, right on the top step, right into my face. Next time you better be over there behind third base and backing up third base, and he jumped all over me. He didn't find me, but he let me know about it, and that was the last time I didn't do it.
You know, I don't think Dick Williams got enough credit for that because he was our manager, obviously, a Hall of Fame manager, but he found ways to put the right combinations on the field at the time, and he found ways to be constructive when he had to kind of put his thumb down when he had to. We were kind of a wild, rebellious type group, but he demanded that when you cross the white lines that you play the game respectfully and you play it fundamentally correct.
With its volatile personalities and penchant for close games, this had not been an easy team to manage. But Williams helped bring the best out of their transcendent talent.
The people that know the game of baseball, and you take a look at the ball club, we didn't have 300 hitters. I think Joe Rudy may have been our only 300 hitter. We had guys that produced and drove in runs. We hit the ball out of the ballpark, and we hit the ball out of the ballpark when it counted.
That's the way Reggie was. He always was there for the big games. Always the right place at the right time for hitting a home run. He loved the pressure, and you know, he made our team. You know, and he always had something to say too. Reggie always had something to say, which was great for the rest of the ball club because you know, a Catfish would throw a 4-hit shutout, and Reggie would strike out 4 times. The press would come in, they'd all go over to Reggie, wanting to know why he struck out 4 times.
They were built to win, and they could beat you a lot of different ways. You know, they had Campaneris leading off, and you know, they had some grinder type of players in Bando and you know, Dick Green, and you know, Darren Johnson was there for a while, Mike Epstein. You know, they just had a lot of young former #1 draft choice that could really play.
It was never just one guy. It was somebody different every night, getting a winning hit, making a big play. And I think as we played and we got better, and you start expecting to win, and that's in your mindset. And so your concentration levels go up so much higher. I mean, I would go home at night with just a splitting headache because I mean, every pitch you're tuned in. I mean, you don't take anything for granted.
You know, the nucleus of our ball team is, in playoffs, is pitching, and good defense. You know, we probably had a team batting average of 240, 245, 250 at the most. But we did basic fundamentals. We know that's small ball in today's game.
We had probably the best starting staff in baseball then. We had, you know, Catfish and Kenny Holtzman, Vita Blue, Blue and Odom. And, you know, these guys were going out there and they were completing 45, 50, 55 ball games a year.
We were told by Dick Williams and then Alvin Dark that us 3 were going to pitch every 4th day regardless, even if there would have been a rain out. That was it. You're going to pitch 300 innings, 15 or 20 complete games, that's fine.
You know, you had Catfish and you had, you know, Vida and Blue Moon, and you had a lot of guys, Kenny Holtzman, who would win 20 games. You know, Raleigh Fingers on his way to the Hall of Fame would, you know, be a starter early on when I faced him.
In 73 and 74, Hunter, Holtzman, and Blue. In 73, they threw over 800 innings and won 62 games among them. In 74, they threw over 850 innings and won 61 games among them. 2 straight years, the same 3 teammates throwing 800 innings and winning 60 games. That hadn't been done 2 years in a row by a trio of teammates over the previous 40 years in baseball, and it hasn't been done 2 straight years in all the time since.
74 is a very interesting season. At one point, the joke in baseball was that the A's were not going to have a manager. Dick Williams had resigned. He tried to become the manager of the Yankees, but Charlie Finley stepped in and said, no, he's still under contract. I'm still paying him, even though he's quit as the manager. And it was getting late. It was getting into February. Spring training was around the corner. The A's had not yet named a manager. And one of the jokes in baseball was, well, the A's are so talented, they don't need a manager.
The day that the pitchers and catchers reported to spring training was the day that Charlie hired Alvin Dark to be the new manager. Because remember, Dick Williams had just quit in a huff. He just didn't want anything more to do with Charlie Finley. He'd managed the club to 2 straight World Series titles and then just up and quit. So Charlie went all that offseason with no manager at all and finally settled on Alvin Dark, whom he had hired in Kansas City several years before for a while. So the next day, he had a press conference at the Edgewater Hyatt House in Oakland to introduce Alvin Dark, the new manager. But before he did, he introduced me as the new broadcaster. This did not create many ripples with the news media, since the main thrust of the press conference was the new manager, and we still didn't have a radio or TV station that was even carrying the game. So it was not very much noted that, hey, they have a new broadcaster. I think the main thing that was said about it was, and nobody's ever heard of him.
New manager Alvin Dark couldn't have been more different from his combative predecessor. Religious and deferential to Finley, he seemed a strange fit with the raucous A's.
Vida and Catfish, they weren't bashful about letting Alvin Dark saying, you know, we did fine without you. You know, we can do this again. You just give us the ball and get out of the way.
It was a big change from the scotch-drinking Dick Williams to the Bible-toting Alvin Dark.
Alvin Dark was perceived as a guy that basically was doing what Charlie wanted. Charlie supposedly influenced his lineups, his rotation, the way that he used the bullpen, and a lot of people felt that Alvin Dark was the puppet to Charlie Finley.
The club again got off to a slow start, but veteran manager Dark eventually won over the clubhouse. Behind Catfish's 25 victories and the power of Reggie, Captain Salbando, Rudy, and Tennis, the A's cruised to their 4th straight division title. In the ALCS, they again lost the first game to Baltimore, but again stormed back to overcome the Orioles. The A's were back in baseball's biggest stage, as usual, lacking the respect they felt they had earned.
We're coming off of 4 straight divisions, 2 straight World Series wins, and we're big-time underdogs.
Well, I think in general there was a feeling that the National League was superior at that time. In the early 70s, the National League was dominating the All-Star game. Certainly the 72 Reds were favored over the A's. And you come to 1974, and the Dodgers, yes, very confident ball club. You think of the 74 Dodgers, you think of that great infield that stayed together for so many years. You had Garvey at first, Davey Lopes at second, Bill Russell at short, Ron Say at third.
To hear about the Dodgers, especially being on the West Coast, and how good they were all year, and we never got the acclaim even though we were the 2-time defending World Series champions, kind of put us on edge also. And the joke was that we became the favorites as soon as it came out that we had a fight in the clubhouse before Game 1 in L.A.
Yeah, they were popping off. They said there's maybe only 2 or 3 guys on the Oakland A's that could even make the L.A. Dodgers, so we shut them up.
We found out that the Dodgers had, on their bulletin board, there was an article written that there were only 2 guys from our team that could be on this $1 million infield and play on the Dodgers team, and that was Reggie possibly, and Catfish Hunter. You go like, what are you talking about? So we spanked the Dodgers.
1 out away from the championship by the Oakland A's. Fingers deals a comebacker. Fingers has it and throws the first.
In the end, it was no contest. It took the A's just 5 games to dispose of the favored Dodgers. Rudy struck the final blow that firmly established the Swingin A's place in history.
It was that year, I think, that clinched in people's minds that, hey, this is a team for the ages. Because, yeah, they beat the Reds, but then they beat the Mets, who weren't very good that year. But now they beat a team that had won 102 games.
Let's face it, the '74 World Series probably put the stamp of validation on how great the Oakland A's were. I mean, to compare them with the greatest teams in history.
In '74, in LA, right before we opened up on Saturday, the first game of the series, my wife and Catfish Hunter and his wife, Rudy and Bandos, we all went out for dinner. Now, Catfish said, I got to make an announcement. And we figured out what the heck is he doing? We had no clue what he was going to come up with. And he said, I want to tell you guys right now that I won't be playing with you guys next year. Win, lose, or draw, I will not be wearing the Oakland A's uniform.
The beginning of the end was a contract dispute that ended up in court. Finley would lose his superstar starter over a breach of contract amounting to just $25,000. Catfish Hunter ended up signing with the Yankees for nearly $4 million, a harbinger of the free agency era that would end Oakland's dynasty and change baseball forever.
With Catfish gone, and why should I stick around?
I mean, Catfish was really sort of the heart and soul of our pitching staff. You know, he was our anchor. He pitched so many innings, was such a calming force, and you just knew he was going to go out there and give us 40 starts a year. And so when we lost him, Charlie really ransacked our minor leagues, especially trying to replace him.
I think we would have won a couple of more, maybe as many as 3 or 4, but certainly we won another 2. Hindsight again is 20/20. The game was changing, the business of the game was changing.
Who's to say that we would have won another 2 or 3? I think we would have, but we would have been right there battling year after year for, I think, another 5 or 6 years. I really do.
But when we found out about the Catfish Hunter situation and we probably were going to lose him, that changed things a little. Even though we won the division the following year, nevertheless, there was something missing.
So I think we could have kept on winning. I mean, if he could have kept Catfish and all of us and signed us all, I think we were all in our prime. Heck, I think I was 28, 29, 30 years old, something like that. I wasn't that old. And we were all just about the same age. We were in our late 20s, early 30s, so I don't think there would be any problem us, winning because, we'd already played together. But free agency changed that, and there was no way Charlie Finley was going to pay the money that players were going to get when free agency hit. That's why he hung around for about 1 or 2 years and then sold the team.
When we started to play, all the odds makers came out and said, the Reds will win, the Mets will win, the Dodgers will win, yet the A's won all 3 consecutive World Championships.
They end up doing something that's extremely difficult to do, win 3 consecutive World Championships. That kind of accomplishment, I mean, that is so hard to do.
And the fact that baseball's best team, 72, 73, 74, played on the West Coast and didn't have a national footprint, I think to this day has hurt the appreciation of what the Athletics did in those years.
I sincerely believe if you would have taken our ball club with our success and we played in even LA, especially Chicago, or especially New York, we would be up there with the great Yankee teams of all time.
We always had respect from the baseball people, say for the opposing general managers and coaches and players, and that's mainly because we were beating them.
It's hard to repeat 3 years in a row as world champions. I don't care who you're playing. If you're playing Little League in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
They got to play in 3 World Series. They won them all. And my hat goes off to them because they were a very, very good ball club.
To me, a dynasty is you got to win at least 2 in a row, in which there have been very few teams to do that. Obviously, the Yankees come to mind when you ask that question, but Hey, I'm sure a little prejudiced towards my Oakland A's teams of 72, 73, and 74.